Sofia Vergara possesses a unique charm that not every star has. With just a word, a smile, or a graceful quick wit, she has surprised and sometimes visibly embarrassed many of Hollywood's most famous men. In this video, let's explore 10 of the most memorable moments when Sofia Vergara became the center of attention and left the stars beside her speechless. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next exciting videos. And now, let's begin. Let's start with O'Brien. As soon as Sofia sat down next to him, he immediately became a little flustered, in his usual way whenever she appeared. With just a few short remarks and a funny story about strippers, the atmosphere became both funny and awkward, leaving him unsure whether to continue or escape the topic. He recounted an experience participating in an entertainment performance, but things didn't go as planned. A wrong move injured his arm, and the situation quickly became more chaotic than expected. He even joked that the profession wasn't as simple as people thought, and that's why he decided to quit. And if you thought Conan had a memorable experience, just wait and see what happened to Jimmy Kimmel. In a familiar segment of the show, he often reads out blunt, sometimes quite harsh, online comments right in front of celebrity guests to entertain the audience. This time, things became more interesting, with Sofia sitting opposite him. Initially, Jimmy maintained his confidence and familiar pace as he read each comment, appearing to be in complete control. However, the atmosphere began to change when Sofia reacted in an unexpected way. Instead of just listening or smiling awkwardly, she responded naturally, intelligently, and charmingly, turning seemingly sensitive comments into material for a humorous exchange. This quick wit gradually drew the entire studio into the dynamic interaction between the two. The audience reacted enthusiastically, laughter erupting continuously, while Jimmy had to stop several times because the comments were being diverted too quickly. Each time he tried to get back on track, Sofia would respond, making the situation even more interesting. In the end, instead of putting Sofia on the defensive as usual, Jimmy was the one constantly having to improvise, and in the end, he was almost unable to find a quick enough response against her confidence, humor, and excellent reflexes. But if anyone thought that knowing just a little Spanish would make it easy to catch up with Sofia, Jimmy Fallon proved them wrong. This time, he found himself in a challenging situation when Sofia decided to teach him a few phrases using standard Colombian pronunciation. It sounded simple, but it quickly turned into a hilarious exchange. From the very first repetitions, Jimmy struggled to get the pronunciation right, even though Sofia kept giving clear instructions and patiently correcting him. However, the more he tried, the funnier the situation became as he continued to mispronounce words, creating unpredictable pronunciations that made the entire audience burst into laughter. Even when Sofia repeated the words directly on stage, Jimmy still struggled with the most basic words, making things more confusing instead of improving. Sofia became increasingly amused by his relentless efforts, laughing as she continued to guide him, creating a very natural and cheerful atmosphere. The audience was also drawn in by each retry, each mistake eliciting a burst of laughter in the studio. And if just a few simple phrases were enough to baffle Jimmy, the subsequent events brought even more surprises and laughter. Just wait and see what happens when Kevin Hart steps onto the stage with the confidence of a true action star. On Graham Norton's show, he excitedly shared about his new film project and affirmed that he's entering a completely new phase in his career. With his familiar style, Kevin constantly cracked jokes, recounting behind-the-scenes experiences from the film, keeping the entire studio audience laughing and watching intently. His confidence and energy made the conversation lively, just as one of the world's most famous comedians usually commands the stage. Sofia simply smiled and listened, never interrupting or cutting in. She let Kevin freely tell his story, as if he truly had the entire stage to express himself. The atmosphere was relaxed and natural, and everyone thought it was just another lighthearted sharing session. However, Just as Kevin finished his confident declaration, Sofia unexpectedly delivered a short but incredibly insightful comment. No need for many words. A simple sentence was enough to completely change the atmosphere in the studio. The entire audience burst into laughter. Kevin paused for a few seconds, his face showing surprise, as if he couldn't believe the situation had taken that turn, while Sofia maintained her usual composure. And if that moment was enough to make Kevin stop, what followed with Gordon Ramsay promised to be even more interesting. Gordon Ramsay is known for his strong, sharp style and always taking the lead in conversations. However, when sitting next to Sofia, things took a completely different turn. The conversation began casually with jokes about food, daily eating habits, and interesting cultural differences. Gordon consistently offered humorous remarks in his signature style, a mix of subtle sarcasm and wit, while Sofia quickly caught on and responded with her natural charm. Their interplay created a lively atmosphere, causing the entire studio to erupt in laughter at their perfectly synchronized yet unexpected responses. As the conversation shifted to the topic of names and their meanings, Gordon became more curious and continued to ask questions with evident interest. He maintained his familiar leading role, as if he were in complete control of the dialogue, and nothing was unexpected. However, just as things were flowing naturally, Sofia unexpectedly changed course, with a short but incredibly sharp remark. No lengthy explanation was needed. A simple reaction was enough to cause the entire audience to erupt in laughter and completely disrupt the previous conversation. At that moment, Gordon could only manage a smile and take a slight step back, as if to process what had just happened. The man who was usually proactive and difficult to overpower in any conversation was now pleasantly surprised by Sofia's quick wit and charm, creating a moment that was both humorous and unforgettable on stage. Simon Cowell once put Sofia in a rather awkward situation on a live television show, and she clearly remembers that moment vividly. Therefore, when the opportunity arose, Sofia decided to retaliate in a way no one could have predicted. It all started when a special gift was brought onto the stage. From the very first second, Simon was quite curious and excited. He observed intently, constantly offering comments in his usual style, while trying to guess where the item came from and what it meant. The audience gradually became engrossed in the conversation, as Simon continued to analyze and offer various theories, completely unaware that the subtle details in his presentation were subtly creating a humorous trap right on stage. Meanwhile, Sofia maintained her composure, occasionally smiling slightly, as if patiently waiting for the most crucial moment. As the show progressed, the atmosphere became increasingly interesting, as Simon remained confident in his reasoning, while the audience began to sense that something was about to be revealed. The discrepancy between Simon's truth and opinion made the situation even more humorous. Finally, the decisive moment arrived. Just when everything seemed like a normal introduction, the surprising truth was revealed, causing the entire auditorium to erupt in cheers and applause. Simon paused for a moment in surprise, while Sofia smiled, confirming that the whole situation was part of her plan. It was a clever and charming response, meticulously prepared and delivered at the right moment, creating a moment that surprised and delighted the audience until the end of the show. While it took Simon Cowell quite a while to get a chance to be retaliated against by Sofia, Jimmy Fallon found himself in the same situation in just a few minutes. It all started when Sofia appeared on stage to introduce her signature fragrance line. What she didn't expect was Jimmy's enthusiastic participation, turning the introduction into a hilarious interactive session. As soon as he was invited to sample the scent, Jimmy immediately jumped in, true to his usual style, with exaggerated expressions and comical reactions that made the entire audience laugh. Sofia repeatedly asked for his impressions, while Jimmy tried to describe the scent in the most creative and witty way possible, though at times his descriptions were both confusing and funny. Sofia then explained that she wanted to create a product suitable for both men and women, not only for personal use, but also as a delightful gift for friends or family. From there, The conversation gradually turned into a natural banter between the two, with constant jokes back and forth, making the atmosphere in the studio more lively with each passing minute. Jimmy became increasingly confident as he spoke, as if he were truly participating in promoting the product, while Sofia maintained her composure and proactively guided the situation with very clever questions and responses. This contrast made the audience constantly laugh at the very natural yet extremely charming moments. However, just when Jimmy thought he had safely passed this part of the experience without any trouble, Sofia unexpectedly made a short but extremely subtle comment, causing him to pause for a moment. The entire room immediately erupted in laughter, while Jimmy could only chuckle and shake his head at her quick and skillful response. And if just one bottle of perfume was enough to make Jimmy Fallon so unsuspecting, imagine what the first person who ever tried to set limits for Sofia, her father, must have gone through. Sofia's opponents aren't always famous stars or presenters. Sometimes, it's her own family members. When recounting childhood memories from Barranquilla, Colombia, Sofia delivered a story that brought the entire audience to laughter. With her natural, charming, and captivating storytelling style, she quickly became the center of attention. Every small detail she mentioned was tinged with humor, creating a relaxed and lively atmosphere in the studio. Almost no one could maintain a serious demeanor while listening to her witty and clever answers. Interestingly, Sofia transforms everyday situations into entertaining stories, making the audience feel like they're listening to a truly authentic and humorous narrative. Her confidence and quick wit are what keep everyone engaged. And if even family arguments aren't easy to win against Sofia, then it's clear that others should be prepared for even more unpredictable situations when dealing with her. Although this time the story wasn't about a human, but about a dog, Sofia still delivered a surprising moment in her signature style. During an interview, she was asked about her relationship with the dogs on set, and the audience expected a gentle, sweet, and affectionate response, typical of Hollywood stars. However, Sofia's reaction was completely different, causing the entire studio to burst into laughter. Instead of the usual answers, she gave humorous, natural, and slightly mischievous responses, turning a simple question into a truly entertaining moment. This unexpected reaction dramatically changed the atmosphere on set, making it more relaxed and lively. Those around her were quickly drawn into the conversation, reacting and laughing along with her every word. Interestingly, Sofia doesn't try to act at all. Everything comes naturally, as if she's turning every small situation into part of a humorous interaction. Between real life and on-screen, Sofia always has her own way of creating surprises, even in seemingly simple moments like interacting with a dog on set. She doesn't just answer questions, but turns them into energetic dialogues, making it difficult for viewers to predict what will happen next. And if those previous moments were interesting enough, there's an even more special detail. When she doesn't just react to a single individual or situation, but seems to deliver a charming response to an entire nation that has repeatedly teased her accent, in a way that's both funny and completely unexpected. Hollywood once made Sofia's accent a topic of discussion, even controversy. But instead of letting it negatively impact her, she transformed that unique characteristic into a globally recognizable hallmark. On the Saturday Night Live stage, Sofia appeared with her familiar energy, sharing the story of her journey from Barranquilla, Colombia, to the United States. She recounted her early days in America, when everything was new but full of opportunities, and she was welcomed with friendliness by those around her. Her natural, relatable storytelling warmed the entire audience, as if everyone was reliving her early memories of her career. The atmosphere in the studio was constantly enlivened by laughter and applause, as Sofia emphasized her gratitude for the experiences that helped her grow. Every word she spoke carried sincerity, but also a characteristic wit. Amidst the positive reactions from the audience, the message she conveyed became clear. Instead of trying to change herself to fit others' expectations, Sofia chose to maintain her own unique identity. It was this self-confidence that became a key factor in her success and created an unmistakable mark in the entertainment industry. Thank you for watching the video until the very end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, leave a comment about your most memorable moment, and subscribe to the channel to support me.